Alright, so welcome back guys. Today we'll be making a Kingdom Hearts key. So first thing you want to do when you get started is you want to define your origins and your planes. So you have your origins. Some basic information, you want to turn them off. You can turn them off with this looking feature. And as you create new features, they'll be added down here to this history tree or this family tree, and you can modify and edit them as you go. So what we could do is, let's insert a canvas. And so inserting a canvas is basically going to allow you to insert a feature or an image. And in this case, it's going to be helpful because it will allow us to be able to draw this key much faster by putting an image of it, and we'll trace it over. So it's going to give us the option of either choosing from our computer or from other sources online. And so I already have an image of the key on my PC. I'll just upload that. All right, so now we were able to upload the image. And basically what Canvas does is make an image that you choose and uploads it as a canvas. So it allows us to choose a face by which we want to make this image, and let's just select this face on the primary planes. Once we select that face, then we can click OK. And if you zoom in on the image, there's a key. So there's a sword key or a Kingdom Hearts key. In that case, what we want to do is be able to align this key to the primary planes. That way it makes it easier for us to reference this geometry when we're tracing or sketching over it. And so we have free body movement in this case with this key. So let's align it nicely along that plane. And okay. Once you're satisfied with the position, you just go ahead and click OK. And so right now you'll notice the dimensions for this are actually really small. But we can rescale this sketch or this canvas by just clicking on the edit feature here. And go here, edit feature, and then we resketch this plane, or we resketch this canvas, and that allows us to resize it like this. So let's say we want to make it 5 times bigger, and then it allows us to draw more easily. There you go. There's our key, and there's our planes. So let's start drawing over it. Choose a plane to sketch. We'll create a sketch on this plane. So let's start with this hilt right here. And it doesn't have to be exact to the dimensions of the scale, or in this case the canvas. It just needs to be approximated. And so you'll notice these grooves here, even though we're trying to make the sketch profile to be able to revolve this around, you have these grooves. So one way to go around them is you can make either an arc or a conic curve. And so that conic curve is going to allow us to more or less make this profile that you want to revolve. So when you spin it, it'll create those extrusions or those grooves. Another conic curve. You can add constraints to your sketch. For example, you want to make these 2 lines parallel, you can do that. Now they're parallel. Once you're satisfied with your sketch, you click OK down here and finish sketch. So you have this other feature, and this one you might want to create an arc instead of a conic curve. So here you have an arc between these 2 points. Looks more like that, like this profile. So we made them more or less the shaft or the axis of the key. All that's missing is, you see these handles? So these are also part of the axis. And to do that, we'll make a different sketch profile along this rod. And now you have finished the sketch. What you can do is revolve the entire thing. There's our sketch. Now I just need to check that there's no holes in the sketch. It looks good. And we revolve. So now see which axis you want to revolve it around, and just select your axis. And there you go. Mostly the hardest part is figuring out how to go around those extrusions and those cuts. One way to do it is to just revolve it. So when we take away these origins, let's take away our canvas as well. And you just look at the body you just made. They're either arcs, conic curves, or lines, but when you revolve it, it looks really nice. So let's bring them back. So what do you want to focus on now? Well, you can focus on this key feature right here. So let's try that. And to do that, let's make a sketch, and we'll start there on one of our planes. And this time we're going to trace around this shape here. And so it's okay if it's not perfectly symmetrical, because here's a tip. We're going to be making this symmetrical in a minute now. Once we make only half of the profile, that's really all you need, half of that profile. We'll be adding some constraints to make this tangent to our sketches, the circle tangent. There you go, coincidence. That way it's touching these tips. And here's a trick. So we have the sketch profile, and we want to mirror it. That way we don't have to draw the entire crown. So we go here to our mirror, and we want to mirror this entire sketch along this line. Along this line right here. So we click OK, and there we go. We have our new sketch. If you notice, it sticks a little bit out from our profile here. So one way you can go around this, either you can go back and make this sketch smaller, or you can go back to your original sketch, sketch 1, edit it, and make it just a little bit, stretch this out a little bit more so it fits within the key. So here's how you can do it. You click on your sketch and you put move and copy. And it's going to click and drag your sketch, depending on which one you want to click and drag. So I want to click and drag this entire line right here. Let's say 0.5 millimeter. That's enough. So you put 0.5 millimeter, and look now, it fits within our sketch profiles. So now let's extrude this sketch. And we want to extrude it both ways so that it's symmetrical. So you put symmetric, and we put our distance we want to extrude. Let's say it's 1 millimeter. Is 1 millimeter enough? Maybe so. 175. And so it'll be both ways. It'll be 0.75 in each direction, so it'll be 1.5 millimeters. Another thing you could do is, notice how right here when you extrude it, is now fully extruding into in this case, the shaft. So you can go back and you can edit your sketch, so that way it does. Let's go back and edit our sketch and do that. And this time what we'll be doing is moving and copying these two sketch profiles. We'll be pushing them, pulling them over here, so that way they enter the material. Let's click OK now. When you look at it, we have the sketch enter the shaft. Let's finish sketch, and now let's retry extruding it. Put symmetric, and let's put 75. So now you notice it's within the shaft, so it's not sticking out. And we want to join these features, so let's put join. And if we take away our canvas and our origins, when the object is done, it looks like this. Pretty good. So what's next? Let's pull back our features. And this time, we're going to make this handle in the back. You see this handle? So let's find a way to make this handle. And yeah, what we can do is make another sketch. When we bring back our canvases and our planes, we click on this plane right here, and that allows us to make our sketch. If you notice in the sketch, basically, it has some circle shapes, some lines. Let's go ahead and trace it. Doesn't have to be an exact trace. Just try to approximate as best as you can. And you'll notice this shape right here is a circle, so we'll leave that there. Trace it on this side. There's good. You don't have to be exact with your tracings. That's alright, just eyeball it. If you want to make some fine features later, then you can. But this is good. You notice how this shape right here is you could fit it in an arc, but an arc wouldn't really fit. Just to give you an example. See how you could fit it like this, but it doesn't really adhere to that shape? So let me introduce a new feature. Let's say if you can't find any curve that would naturally fit it, then you could do something called spline modeling. Fit point spline. And it's going to create a line to any shape that you want it to fit, called spline shape. See? And so instead of making an arc, I made a freeform spline that gives it the shape I want it to. And so that's one way you can make this curve, this unnatural curve, without arcs or without any conic curves. Alright, cool. So next, we make our line here. You could do another free spline right here. Continue with your sketch. And you'll notice this shape right here more or less looks like a circle. So what you could do is insert a circle. At this point, you can make it a 2-point circle. So you know the 2 endpoints of your sketch, in this case your canvas. You just click the endpoints of one part along the canvas, and you click the other endpoint. Let's say this is a good endpoint right there. And there you have your circle. So that's the difference between the center diameter and a 2-point circle. Let's add some constraints. Make this line coincident with this circle. If you want to add a new line, you could do so right there. So that way it's more coincident, but a thicker piece. Let's make this line coincident with our circle. And let's check if this line is coincident, which it is. Let's trim that off. So now you have your 2-point circle. You notice how there's this groove, or the circular groove within that corner right there. So let's make a 2-point circle and trace right here this groove, and we'll use that feature for later part. So when you're satisfied with your sketch, you just make sure all the parts of the sketch are fully defined. And one way to quickly gloss over it and to check is to make sure that each body in the sketch, each profile, is highlighted blue, because that means the sketch is fully formed. Once you're satisfied, let's finish, and we'll put finish sketch. And so here's a kicker. We want to be able to mirror this sketch alongside the other side, right? So we'll be mirroring this feature after we extrude it. Let's go ahead and extrude that first. So in this case, let's mirror this as well. Extrude all of it. And we'll put symmetric. How big do I want to extrude it? Let's say 1 millimeter. You'll notice that 1 millimeter is just about right, I think. We'll check our sides. You can go back and edit our sketch to make sure that these sketch profiles are within the main body. That way they don't extrude outward when we extrude them. So we'll just quickly move this a little bit inside, like that. Same thing here. We'll move this sketch profile a little bit inside. That way when we extrude it, it doesn't stick out of the shaft. Symmetric. That was good. And so we'll put join. Or if you want to, you can put a new body or new components. In this case, yeah, let's put a new body. So the difference between bodies and components is when you're making an assembly, in this case, if you want to make several parts and put them together, a body is not the same as a component. So components are used in assemblies and bodies are used in making just parts. So you can have a component with one body, or you can have a component with multiple bodies, but a single body cannot be multiple components. New body. There we go. And so let's go back, and what we'll do now is extrude this again. We'll make the sketch profile for this groove, circular groove of the key. So let's bring up our sketches. And what we could do is make a two-side cut. And this time we'll cut, let's say, 50 millimeters. 50 millimeters. Let's click OK. And that creates a new cut within our body. Let's take our sketches, and you can see now the cut on our canvas. And this is our cut within the key. So let's go ahead and mirror that on the bottom side. And to do that, let's construct a plane, a mid-plane. So it gives us the possibility of choosing two planes, and it will automatically construct a plane in the middle of those two. So now that we have a mid-plane, we can define this feature, mirror it on the bottom side. We want to mirror this cut, right? And we want to mirror it along this plane. Look at that. So now we have our cut. So how's our key looking so far? Looking pretty good, right? Let's go back, and now we see this half. Let's mirror on the other side. So we'll just repeat a mirror. Features, in this case bodies, and we want to mirror it along this plane and make that a new body. So what's left? Let's remove our canvas. So we're missing this nice key, this nice looking keychain. And to do that, it's pretty simple. We just need some toruses. So here you notice we have the feature to include a torus. And what that allows us to do is insert this predefined torus along any body. or along any plane you choose. So let's choose this plane. And we want to put it, attach it right here at the end. How big do you want it? Let's say 3 is good, 3 millimeters. And you can see our torus is in the middle right there. So we don't exactly want it there. Let's move it. Let's say it's 3, and make that a new body. So you won't be able to see it right now because it's hidden inside the keychain. But now let's move it. Let's move our torus all the way back here, and let's flip it. We bring back our bodies, and look, it's directly on inside the keychain now, inside the key. Let's say that looks good. And so all you need to do now is you create a little link of toruses to make your chain. And at the end you put your Mickey Mouse thing. To make this process faster, let's construct. Let's put a point right there. Let's construct an offset plane. And so on this offset plane, we'll be able to move the offset plane over here, and we'll be able to build these toruses faster. And so let's say after some while you finally made your chain links and you're satisfied. So all that's missing is to make the Mickey Mouse, right? The Mickey Mouse attachment. So let's create a sketch, or in this case, what you can even do is insert some spheres. So we're going to insert these spheres. You're going to just choose to insert them here. Let's say this is 5 millimeters, make that a new body, and we'll repeat the process. And there you have it. So now that we have pretty much the body done, we can go ahead and apply some material and color properties to it, which is the fun part. Let's go ahead and do that. Remove the canvas, or in this case, if we check the canvas, you notice, and with the bodies, we notice this is black, this is gold, this is blue, and the rest is more or less silver, right? So let's go ahead and try that. Let's make this color black. And so one thing to notice is that you can have either material and color properties applied to bodies or components or faces. In this case, you want to apply it to a face, since it's this single, this whole thing is a body, but this face within this body is part of it. So let's go find our paint, glossy, and we want a glossy black. So let's check our faces, click glossy black, and there we go, we have our glossy black. Now let's go back and check here, what do you want to put? Let's say you want to put gold, right? Let's try yellow, see if it works. Now we can fix it. Or if you want to, we can go to metallic and put a metallic yellow. So let's try that. Metallic yellow on our bodies. in this case our faces. Awesome, so we have that, and now we can go ahead and switch to bodies and components, and we'll apply yellow to these sides of the bodies and components. Now let's go over to blue, and for blue, we'll apply this glossy blue to our faces. In this case, it will be this face right here. And now let's apply silver, a metallic silver, to this front face. And there you go. So what's left? Let's apply some color material properties to this back side here, the keys. So let's see if we can use our default feature and change the colors. So to do that, just double click it and let's make it brighter. So in this case, it will still be steel. In this case, it will be a brighter color of the steel. See, and it's your modified color. So let's take a look at our canvas, and how does that look? Looks pretty good. Let's go back, and now what we can do is render it. Render this piece. And to render it, you go here to rendering, and this will open the virtual studio. And within this virtual studio, you have the option to, that's nice. You have the option to make this part more professionally presentable. So if you want to, you can edit this silver paint. You can make it look more metallic like the one in the back. Let's go ahead and try that. Let's try to make it more metallic. And so for that, all we got to do is set the objects that have this color. In this case, it's these features, these faces right here. You highlight them, and we apply a still static to it. Or in this case, let's make it this color, this shade of steel static. Looks better. So when we go to rendering, it'll look like this. And so if you want to, you can just play with your colors to your preference. That's fine. But once you're in Rendering Studio, you go to Setup, and basically within this environment library, you have so many features you can play with. You can play with the perspective of the camera, the focal length, of how you want this key to look like. You can play with exposure, depth of field, if you want to have depth of field. Usually I stick with the defaults. So in an environment library, you have your different colors of the lighting. If you click around and drag, you see how it's in the virtual studio? So this virtual studio has also virtual lighting. Let's select cool light. If you want to look like that, red light, bring highlights, soft light, warm light. How this looks good. So once you select your specific environment and you're satisfied with it, then all you gotta do is just render it. And rendering is gonna create this cube. It's gonna create this cube where you can process this object. And it's gonna give you an output once you finish the rendering. It's just gonna take all these inputs and give you an output of an image of this image, and it's gonna be professionally presentable. So you have these options for your render, and I usually choose a standard one. And once you're satisfied, you just click render, and it's gonna open this cube. And so within this cube, it's gonna cloud compute within Autodesk Fusion 360 servers, and give you the final output after 10 minutes, more or less. What you could in the meantime is you could go here to capture image, and what this is gonna do is capture the entire workspace. that you have saved here of the object without any rendering. But at least it gives you something that you can hold on to, and it's going to save it to your computer. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. But I hope you enjoyed something. I was able to learn some features, including revolving, extruding, and sketching, in this case tracing, with a canvas, and also some material properties. So how about that? All right.